I was very fortunate to live in a family that valued literacy. Some of my favorite memories include lying in bed with my parents reading to me and also going to the library on a weekly basis. The first book I ever read on my own was about a cat that needed to take a nap. I had excellent reading instruction as a young child, but as I entered middle school, my passion for literacy began to fade. It's probably due to all the assignments and worksheets. So I began to rely on family and friends for recommendations. In high school, I discovered my favorite author, Nicholas Sparks, and I also began to enjoy books that were turned into movies. Later on in college, I perfected my reading strategies when reading informational texts. I still enjoy reading Nicholas Sparks, but I've also expanded my horizons to memoirs and even humor books. I've never been one to sit down and write a story or piece of poetry. Writing has always been something that you do for school. Early on, I learned a lot about the structure of writing and tried keeping journals and diaries, but I never stuck with it. Middle school was all about grammar and writing stories. I've always been proud of my creative story called Tom Turkey. I also learned how to write a 5-paragraph essay, which is something I finally felt comfortable doing. High school really turned me off to writing for fun because I remember extensively writing and overanalyzing poetry. I don't enjoy poetry, so I stopped writing creatively and focused more on writing and editing papers. In college and even now, I've received many compliments on my writing style. I mostly only write for school and to communicate for my job or with my friends and family. I read for pleasure. There is no feeling like getting lost in a good book. Sometimes I like to imagine myself as a friend of one of the characters. I read to learn. I read blogs for how to do things, and I also read books about teaching. I read because it is required. Required reading can be anything from day-to-day reading for survival, such as road signs, to assignments for school. How I read depends on my purpose. If it is for entertainment, I like to curl up on the couch or lie in bed. I sometimes drift off to sleep because I'm so relaxed. If my purpose is to learn, I sit up with a highlighter and pencil in hand. I read slowly, methodically, and interact with the text. I have a hard time finding time to read for pleasure for extended periods of time, but when I do find time, it is usually in the evenings or right before bed. I write to communicate. Whether it's cards, emails, text messages, or social media, pretty much every social aspect of my life involves some type of writing. I write because it is required. Like reading, writing is required for daily life. I write for my job and also for school assignments. I write lists. I am an avid list maker and write to-do lists, grocery lists, things to remember, etc. I always have to have a plan before I start writing. I will often handwrite an outline before typing anything. Writing papers by hand helps me organize my thoughts better. My prime writing time is at night, usually around 8 o'clock. I can write for up to 4 hours straight before getting too tired. I have always been successful in reading and writing. However, there are areas that I find difficult. Something I find difficult in reading is analyzing and determining the deeper meaning of texts. When I read, I don't like to have to figure out what the author really means. I have never been that good at expressing myself and feelings, but I would like to improve in this area. I would like to begin a journal that is a place where I write about my week. I think in time I will be able to find the words to better express myself. As someone who enjoys reading, I enjoy a variety of different genres and authors. I enjoy anything from stories about love to dystopian society. In high school, Nicholas Sparks helped me find my passion for reading again. I still enjoy reading his books today. Harry Potter is a series that I could read over and over again and never grow tired of. If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would want these books with me. The type of writing that is powerful and attracts me is simple, fast-paced, and even snarky at times. Books where I can feel connected and invested in the story are extremely powerful. I check my comprehension by interacting with the text. I am a critical reader and question the author a lot. I also make connections and summarize. If I don't understand what I'm reading, I will reread it a few times. I will also use text features and examine charts, bold words, etc. Sometimes I will use the index and read about what I am trying to understand from other parts of the book. I use different strategies based on what I am reading. If I'm reading a novel, I will reread and make connections. I follow stories much better this way. While reading informational texts, I highlight things I want to remember and take notes on sticky notes. I write anything from questions to connections. Here are a few goals and needs I have as a reader. I would like to broaden my horizons by finding a new favorite author. I would also like to spend more of my free time reading for pleasure. And finally, I have just made a new Goodreads account and I would like to update it weekly. Whatever I read needs to pique my interest and be captivating. I rely heavily on recommendations, so I need to know what others are reading. I have already said that I am a critical reader, meaning that I constantly question and form my own opinions while I read. A book that was very eye-opening and challenged me was The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This book is a memoir of what it was like growing up in poverty. Many of the events and stories allowed me to peer deeper into the issue that many students and their families have to endure.